All righty. We are here. I have a huge headache, but we are here for Missouri Tigers Live. I am Zach Ramilius, here as I always am every Monday night to talk about the Missouri Tigers. It's cold and my hair's a mess, so I just put on a snow hat for tonight. It's actually not that cold here in St. Louis, but but we are here, of course, to talk about the Missouri Tigers as transfer portal mania continues for Mizzou. This is Missouri Tigers Live with the voice of college football. You can follow me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. Be sure to hop over there as we have a fun sports weekend ahead of us. And then we have a great sports weekend ahead of us. Follow Mark Rogers at the voice of college football. Mark does an unbelievable job week in, week out. And we just started our new website, voiceofcollegefootball.com. You can subscribe to his channel, subscribe to our channel. Guys, come on. If you're here, go ahead and subscribe. And yeah, that's all we're going to get into today. So today is transfer portal mania for the Missouri Tigers. The portal opened on Friday. We know a handful of people for Mizzou. A lot of people from Mizzou that have entered and have left. We're going to go ahead and just we're going to do one thing at a time. First thing we're going to do is everybody that has left this Missouri Tiger football roster. It's been a lot. The most recent loss, of course, is Marvin Burks. Marvin Burks was a starting safety this year, last couple seasons for this Mizzou defense. It appears that they decided to keep Jackson Hancock and Trajan Greco over him. Will that pay off in the long run? We'll find out as soon as next season. But Marvin Burks leaving, Mizzou does need a safety in the portal. Let me scroll that over there. Of course, we talked about James Madison leaving. We talked about Haygood. Marquise Davis commits to Louisville today. Marquise Johnson commits to Kentucky. Josh Manning is of course touring. I think South Carolina was where he was rumored to be looking. But Mizzou, Luke Keaton Jones, Henry Fanuku, guys we talked about all. The big new one is Marvin Burks. So when it came down to it, this is where I think we're at with portal needs for the Missouri Tigers. I tweeted it out, so you can follow me on Twitter. Like I said, come on, go away, at PsychoZ50. So I'm going to pull up my own tweet. And this is before Marvin Burks left. So you're going to add a safety to that list. He doesn't have to start, but you're going to need someone in the rotation. So where we start at is quarterback. Now, it looks like quarterback's been solved. We'll talk about Austin Simmons here in just a moment. The next thing offensively, you're going to need 2 to 3 wide receivers that can play. We're going to get more into the wide receiver class. I don't think you need a third. We'll go position by position here in just a second. 3 to 4 O linemen, and at least one who is a bona fide starter the minute he steps on campus. He commits to Mizzou, and you go, okay, that's your left guard, that's your right tackle, that's whatever. D-ends, a D-end, 2 if Damon Wilson leaves. You're going to need 2 defensive tackles, a linebacker, 2 or 3 corners. I'm leaning more towards 3. They did have a corner commit today. And then, of course, a punter. Now, that's a lot to get through in the portal. We're going to take this position by position. The easiest position to start off with is QB. There are reports that Mizzou is going to take more than one quarterback. But it does appear, and he entered the portal, everyone's predicting him it is going to be Austin Simmons as the quarterback at Missouri next year, by way of Ole Miss. Austin Simmons is a good player. Hang on. He's a very talented player. He was in the class of 2023. He was a 3-star quarterback, the number 35 quarterback in the country, 105th player out of Florida. He's a 4-star transfer. He's 37th overall and the 10th rated QB. It appears he will be the guy at Mizzou. Now, we have all offseason to talk about Austin Simmons. My biggest thing is it's a guy, he makes me nervous. You just did this last year with Bo, where you brought in a guy that was talented, but not so hasn't proven anything as a starter at this level. Now Kiffin did pick him to be the starter over Trinidad Chambliss. He struggled, he got hurt, he got benched, and Trinidad's been incredible ever since. Obviously, Ole Miss, a week from now, Ole Miss could be playing for a national title. So, or 2 weeks, I guess, from now, we could be watching Ole Miss in the title game as Austin Simmons is with the Tigers. I don't like that he got benched. Like if you read his numbers, he in the couple games he played this year, 45 of 75, 60% completion, 744 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. If you go into the game logs more specifically, he did start against Kentucky, 13 to 24 for 235 and 2 picks. Not great. He did run 8 times for 44 yards. He's not an amazing runner, but he has the capability. So that's my big concern. We saw him struggle in a very QB-friendly offense that Lane and Charlie Weiss Jr. were running at Ole Miss. What I'll add about Austin Simmons, though, is Mizzou got their guy. They very clearly got their guy. This is the guy they marked in the portal. I think he just officially went in the portal. Even the last week we were talking about, they're talking about like if he's in the portal, he's probably going to end up at Missouri. This is the first time it feels like Mizzou has just gone out and got their guy. They didn't play a waiting game for Bo. They wanted Mendoza, but they didn't want to outbid or play that game with Indiana, of course. And they got him. 23, they brought in Jake Garcia. Okay, that wasn't great. 22, they didn't bring in anybody really to compete with Brady Cook. They had Jack Abraham. 21, they didn't bring in anybody. 20, they obviously brought in Sean Robinson. So the track record of portal QBs at Mizzou, when you include like Kelly Bryant, hasn't gone too well. So we're going to have to see how it goes here with Austin Simmons. What I like about Austin Simmons, though, is he has all the tools to be a very good SEC quarterback. He has a huge arm. He has a huge arm. He's tall. He's got all the attributes you would want to build in your NCAA dynasty page. It's just he's got to put it all together. He's 6'4", 215 pounds. The first time since, Drew Lock, Mizzou's going to have a quarterback with a rocket of an arm. He just is. He's just going to have a rocket arm. Now, what this does allow also is Matt Zollers to sit for a year. Matt Zollers did basically say he's coming back. He did re-sign. He did re-sign with the Tigers. So he's back. Now, there is a chance Mizzou takes another quarterback. Odom, the kid from Kennesaw State, is going to be taking a visit to Missouri on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see what happens there because I assume that kid, after playing really well at Kennesaw State, he's in the portal. He's going to visit Syracuse as well. But it does appear that Mizzou's going to take a second quarterback, maybe Leatherwood, the kid from SEMO. Just because they don't want you. I don't know if you have 2 QB injuries again, you're playing either Brett Brown or Gavin Sidwar, and those guys are not like Matt Zollers struggled, and Matt Zollers is way more talented at this point in time than those kids. So I understand they want to take 2 quarterbacks. So that's kind of what it is worth there. I mean, they also lost Justin Bodford, but we'll go from there. At running back, so the next position is running back. Obviously, they are set at running back. They have their 2 running backs, although I will agree they need a third guy. They need a third running back. You can't just roll out 2. You need guys to take the Marquise Davis snaps, the Marquise Davis runs, and potentially play next year in 27, because you're going to lose Roberts and Hardy probably to the drafter. But Mizzou is bringing in Sean Edwards from Houston Christian. He has visits, of course. He has a visit with Missouri. He has a visit with Cal. He was a freshman All-American at Houston Christian. He ran for 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. He was at Missouri, reportedly, according to Steve Wiltfong of 247 today. So we'll see what happens there. Look, you need a third running back. You need another guy that can take carries in hopeful blowouts, or give Roberts and Hardy a spell, or if in case one of those guys get hurt. Running backs do get hurt. I think there'd be notable takes. And we'll move from there. I don't think they'll do anything else. Like, running back would be the bottom of my list, but if you can get a commitment from this kid early, knock it out of the park, great. I think with him being a freshman too, you do have to emphasize, like, hey, ZOU, you do have to emphasize with the kid that, hey, like, you're not going to play in 26, but you do have a chance to play a lot in 27 in the SEC. But Mizzou, you do need 3 running backs. Again, you can't have Hardy and Roberts taking carries in your 40-point FCS game. It just can't happen. Now we'll get to the big spot, wide receiver. You need 2 or 3 wide receivers, probably 2. I'd say 2. And the reason I say 2 is because I don't think Mizzou runs a lot of 4 wide. They just haven't traditionally. They do run 4 wide receivers out there, sometimes 5, but a lot of the time it's your 3 wide receiver. Like last year, we saw it was a lot of Josh Manning, a lot of Kevin Coleman, Olubade or Johnson, who committed to Mississippi State. Congrats to him. I think I said Kentucky earlier. He visited Kentucky. Pardon me. I have a huge headache. Josh Manning in South Carolina, whatever. So, but you need 2 to go with Olubade to play. Chase Hendricks is an option. It doesn't seem like the staff is that huge on him. He's visiting Cal for obvious reasons. I mean, every receiver in the country should be visiting Cal with that kid, that wide receiver they have. But if Folks and Terry can't be your wide receivers 4 and 5, you need to fire Jacob Peeler and revamp what you want to do at wide receiver. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll take 2. Number 1 is Iowa State wide receiver Xavier Townsend. He has a series of visits. He's going to go to Florida State. He's going to go to Notre Dame. He's going to go to Purdue and Missouri. Look, if you lose him to Notre Dame, fine. But if you lose him to Florida State or Purdue in 2025, that's a little crazy. I know the world we live in with the money and whatnot, but whatever. Look, the stats won't blow you away. At UCF in 23 was his best season, 33 catches for 325 yards. He did go 18 catches for 245 yards last year. Where he makes his mark is in the return game. He was a good punt returner in 2020 at UCF. Didn't do it much at Iowa State last year. He does now have a Mizzou offer. He's going to visit. I just don't know I don't know the fit here. I don't think you need a returner. I think Folks and Terry can play returner. I think you've kind of built into that role, or even Edwards, the kid from Houston Christian. I just don't think you need. This is a kid you need to take. Yeah, we'll touch on him. Trust me, he's a guy I would take. Hey, knock it off, cats. I just don't see him being a guy you would take. I just don't like it. Another guy that I'm confused by, and we're still, again, the portal's still early. There's still going to be a lot of names entering, but UNC wide receiver Chris Culliver, 12 catches, 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 29 career games. Good numbers as a kick returner, averaged 29.9 yards as a returner. In his career, again, is Mizzou getting serious about the run game or the return game? Gabe at Power Mizzou says he's visiting at some point this week. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. He's like, it's not that he's not a talented player. It's just, I don't see the need for somebody like you need 2 guys that can play. You need 2 guys that can play. And I just, at this level, and I'm not sure those are the guys you should really be looking at. Let's go here. Elsewhere at receiver, they're look. We talked about Chase Hendricks. I don't think they're really that big of a push on Chase Hendricks, if I'm being honest with you. They have talked to Caleb Goody, wide receiver from Cincinnati. This is another name I'd be interested in. Cincinnati, the highest. He's going to come to Mizzou. He went for 484 yards this year, 2 touchdowns. Not a bad receiver. What is his size? Let me look, because I kind of know what they want. He's 6'1". It's a little slender. I don't know if he's a slot guy. I don't know if he's an outside guy. Because you have Olubade as an outside guy. What I don't understand is the reluctance right now on the Chase Hendricks front. Like, he's a perfect slot guy, not perfect. Like, I don't know how that guy will play up into the MAC to the SEC, but he's a good player, and you need receivers in the worst way. As our friend David pointed out earlier, the ODU wide receiver, the name, of course, we keep hearing about. Let me pull him up. He was second on the team in catches this year, 41 for 719. That's Ja'Cory Thomas. Ja'Cory's a 6'3" kid. He can kind of play your Josh Manning role, where he's just a big physical wide receiver. What I've grown, and I talked about this before, what I've really grown to love about Josh Manning was he did all the dirty stuff. He was a good run blocker. He tried in the run, like those rub routes and things like that. I really enjoyed watching Josh Manning get better as the year went along. Any other surprising portal for Mizzou that I missed? They just keep losing guys that are just interesting. Now they also talked to Corey Scott from West Florida, 63 catches, 118 yards, and 4 touchdowns for West Florida. Not something I'm interested in. Lorenzo Fenner from South Dakota. He's from Fort Osage, Missouri. He had more than 1,000 yards for South Dakota this year. He is going to visit Missouri. He's going to take 4 to 5 visits. He's received. He's visited Baylor. He's going to go to Cincinnati, Syracuse, and Mizzou. Ja'Cory Thomas. He's going to come to Mizzou on January 8th. So we'll see how that goes. Chase Hendricks. He was a teammate with Kevin Coleman and Jamal Roberts in high school. Nothing set for certain. He's visited Cal and Purdue. I don't know. At the quarterback position, like we heard a bunch of names. So earlier, I was talking about Jaden Craig. He's going to TCU. I heard about DJ Lagway. He's probably going to Florida State. But the guy at quarterback is going to be Austin Simmons. So, but continuing wide receiver, there was some talk about Wyatt Young. He was expected to visit Oklahoma State, Louisville, Michigan, and Missouri, but he immediately went to Oklahoma State and committed. I guess they found the price range for him. He would have been a name that had been really interesting because he was very productive in that North Texas offense. I don't blame him for following his coach, Eric Morris, and Mestemaker to Stillwater. We talked about Edwards. I'm still on offense. I'm still on wide receivers. Talked about Xavier Townsend. Talked about Chris Culliver. Talked about Caleb Goody. He's a slot guy. I'm reading a little bit more. Nashawn Montgomery from Florida. He was a 4-star in the 2025 class. He caught 3 passes for 26 yards. He redshirted. I think you need a little more. Like, here's the thing. You have Roberts and Hardy, and you have Caden Green coming back, and you have some other pieces coming back. Are you going to rely your pass game on an unproven quarterback in Austin Simmons, no matter how talented he is? And I talked about it when we started the show. I think he's very talented. I think there's a chance he's really, really good. I just don't know if I trust Missouri's quarterback instincts yet. And you got to give him weapons. We like Olubade, of course, here, but we got to see. That's it at wide receiver. Now, there is more time to talk about wide receivers. There's going to be more guys stepping in. There just is. But we're only a few days into the portal. We'll see what happens come next Monday. We'll talk a lot more on next Monday. The next 2 weeks, this is like NFL free agency, NBA free agency. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun. But next, we'll move on to the O-line. Again, I'm using PowerMizzou.com just to kind of help me keep everything in track. On the offensive line, Mizzou has lost a lot of depth. I understand that. But they lost Henry Fanuku. They lost Johnny Williams. They lost Javen Richardson. They lost Brandon Solis. They lost Jalen Early. They lost Keaton Jones. And that's just, you need depth on your O-line. More than just players, you need depth, and you need guys that can step in. They don't really have that right now. Now, offensive line has been really just not good at all. The name I kept seeing was, sorry, I'm scrolling back through, Emmanuel Poku from East Carolina. 6'6", 328-pound offensive guard, was a second-team All AAC. Good player. He visited. He was supposed to visit Missouri. He never did. He ended up visiting Texas Tech. I don't think I have to tell you what that means. He's probably heading to Lubbock in the oil cannon, oil machine. That oil money and money cannon. Sorry, I flipped my metaphors there. Again, I apologize. Huge headache down in Lubbock, but that's probably where he's headed. They're also expecting to host Dylan Sikorsky from Oregon State. He's 6'4", 332 pounds. He played 441 snaps over 9 games at left guard, allowed 8 pressures, 1 sack, according to Pro Football Focus. And you do probably need a guard. I'm interested to see how Mizzou. Yeah, it's the oil money, man. I mean, they're given the career path for Brendan Sorsby has been insane. From like Indiana, Austin ran now to like highest paid quarterback in the country. Anyway, where was I? Here it was. It's going to be interesting to see what Mizzou does at offensive line. Caden Green's coming back. He's going to probably play tackle again. You do have guys coming back. You do have Piegler coming back. Reichert's coming back, but you don't really know what you're going to do at center. I got Tristan Wilson. I think Tristan Wilson, the staff really likes Tristan Wilson, but we'll see. And tackle, like, what are you going to do at tackle? And I know there's a lot of talk about Andrew Sprague coming out of Michigan. Everything I've heard, everything I've read, he's not going to be an option at Mizzou. A lot of the guys Mizzou's looking at are not top of the line, which is weird because you have to spend somewhere. But this also goes back to what we talked about all season. If you have a pulse and show that you can play at this level, teams are not going to let you go into the portal. So you're going to be taking a group of 5 guys or ACC guys, and who knows? Those guys are probably going to be cast-offs because their teams are not paying. Now, Keegan Trost has worked out wonderfully. But I think trying to rely on the portal for O-line is dangerous. Another O-line is going to visit Carius Kern. He was the nation's number 3 interior offensive lineman and had Mizzou. He was in the Mizzou was a finalist. And there were a lot of people who thought he might end up at Missouri, but LSU kind of came in last minute. Not last minute. LSU was always in the mix. LSU, however they got it done, money, development plan. It doesn't really matter. It's recruiting in 25. He's in the title to make that decision. He picked LSU over Missouri, and he's going to visit Ole Miss in Arkansas. He's expected to be at Missouri on Wednesday. This would be a big one for Missouri to lock up because he's a very talented player. Again, I don't know if you need a guard. I think you have 3 guys you're pretty okay with at guard right now, unless they're really trying to upgrade on Piegler, and they just don't think Reichert will be ready. I don't know. Or guy, whoever, Dominic won't be. It just doesn't matter. I think the only spot Mizzou's definitely sat at right now is whatever spot they decide to put Caden Green at. So that's kind of it on O-linemen. Just not a lot of productive O-linemen in the portal. The one spot that they don't need, thankfully, tight end. Don't have to worry about it. You have Hoffman. You have Norfleet. You have Jude James. You have Harris. Like, you just have loads of guys right now at tight end. Like, if you look at the current tight end, you have Vince Brown, but Norfleet, Harris, James, Hoffman, Dakota Terrell, and then Isaac Jensen's coming in. Wide receiver, you only have Sean Terry, Fultz, and Alubade. Offensive line, you have Dominic, you have Caden Green, Curtis Piegler, Tristan Wilson, Logan Reichert, Ryan Justice, Whit Hayford, and Jack Lang. I'd like to see Jack Lang take a huge leap. He was a big win for them on recruiting. So we'll see where that goes. Next spot we're going to go is D-end. We're still waiting on Damon Wilson. Damon Wilson returning kind of pictures what you need on defense. But at D-end, as of now, all they have, Langdon Kitchen, Darius Smith, and Dayton Hopkins, who I know this team, and I'm not counting true freshmen. None of these true freshmen are going to play. D-end, they're very, very at edge. Let me just say edge. They are very, very soft. If Wilson returns, I still think you need a number 3 D-end, maybe a number 2, where Darius Smith can kind of just play in that pass rushing role. I think I missed an offensive lineman here. The kid from South Dakota. I meant to mention him. Derek Joyner he went to Houston. My bad. Redshirted. We'll see. So at D end, we'll touch on that kid later because that kid that is a large human being, which is awesome. But that's a D tackle. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay. Jaden Jones from Florida State. He's expected to visit Missouri this week. He was at Illinois. He played 12 games this past season at Florida State. He played 3 starts, recorded 7 tackles, and 1 tackle for a loss. He was recruited by Mizzou out of high school and out of JUCO. He only has 1 year of eligibility, so we'll just have to see. Jordan McAllister. He's from Seton Hall Prep, I guess. It's the high school he went to. Where did he play? I don't recognize his logo. New Hampshire. Oh, of course. He had 33 tackles, 11 tackles for a loss last past year at New Hampshire. He's kind of what you're looking at right now at D-end. Again, we'll have more names, more announcements, I'm sure, as the weeks go on. But we're just kind of waiting on what happens. At D tackle, we're going back to what they need. At D tackle, you have Marquise, you have Jalen Marshall, you have Sam Williams, Elias Williams. You have some guys there. You need a starter, and they are looking at a starter. My favorite guy in the portal right now. Let me pull his profile back up. Where'd he go? Was he up here? Oh, he was more up. I love this human being. They're also talking to Mason Perham. He played for Emory and Henry. This Emory and Henry at D2 school. He had 3.5 sacks. He's a depth guy. He better not be playing that much next year. Emmanuel Oyabedo. He played at Jacksonville State. He has trips to Florida and Texas A&M. This man is 6'7", 295 pounds, sitting in the middle of your defense. I really hope Mizzou gets him. He's a large human being. And look, in the portal, I think it's fair to look at what other teams are doing and do what they do. If Indiana wants a quarterback, you should probably go try and get that quarterback. If Texas A&M, if Mike Elko wants a defensive player, you should probably go look at getting that defensive player. So if Mike Elko wants this kid, he's probably a player worth looking at. But that's kind of it at D-line right now. Linebacker, good news here, I think. They do need one with Jeremiah Trotter going to the NFL, which best of luck to him. But they do need a linebacker right now in the linebacker room. Nick Rodriguez, Jeremiah Beasley, Brian Huff, Dante McClellan, Jason King. Incoming Keenan Harris and J.J. Bush. I think they like Rodriguez, Beasley, and Huff, and I think they like them all. I don't know how they feel about Jason King, but I couldn't give you a real on that one. But they did bring in Robert Woodyard from Auburn last year. He had 67 tackles, 7 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. He's visiting Kentucky. Texas is also rumored to be interested. There is a couple websites, I believe On3, put in a prediction that he will end up at Missouri. This would be a big pickup. You're getting another stud linebacker. He only has 1 year of eligibility, but you're getting a stud linebacker to play in the middle of that defense. And, yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think this one's pretty cut and dry. If he comes to Mizzou, you're done at linebacker. Just like if you can get this kid to commit, this Edwards kid to commit, you're done at running back, and then you can really push on it at wide receiver and corner. Cornerback is maybe the biggest position in need next to wide receiver. Just in terms of not only bodies, but not in terms you need bodies. Right now at corner, they have Cameron Keys and Nick DeLoach Jr. Toriano Pride, Stephen Hall, Dre Norwood are gone. Mark Manfred, Shamar McNeil transferred. They do have Jackson Gates and Billings coming in, but those guys are not playing next year. At corner, we do have some good news. Where is he? Jaleel Florence, transfer from Oregon, has committed. He was going to visit Arizona State, but it appears he has committed to the Missouri Tigers. He played 3 seasons at Oregon, appeared in 21 games, recording 35 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and 2 picks. Did not play this past year. He was redshirting due to an injury. Hey, that's one guy on board. You need 2 more, maybe 3. But it's always good to get a good start here. Other corners they are potentially looking at bringing in. He's a safety. They're looking at a lot of safeties, which is weird. I did not think they'd be looking at many safety. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they do need someone to replace Cardell. So, Elijah Dotson from Michigan made 16 tackles for the Wolverines last year as a true freshman. There are a number of teams there in contact, but he's only really scheduled to visit to Missouri. Those are the 2. They did get a commitment from 1, which is nice. We'll see what happens moving forward. And then finally, they do need a safety. Not finally, because we're going to go over punter here in just a second. Punter's their biggest need in the world right now. They do need a safety, and they're talking to a lot of safeties. It's a little crazy when I was just going through the list of people that they've contacted, that how many safeties are on this list. Delshawn Staley he's from Blue Springs. He's expected to visit Nebraska. He's from San Diego State. He's going to be he recorded 80 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups while starting all 13 games. So a really good Aztecs defense led by Sean Lewis. He's an interesting option. Other options are Jaden Blair. He's on campus right now. He redshirted at Notre Dame this past season. Talked about Elijah Dotson. He's listed as a safety here though, which is weird. I thought he was a corner. Anyway, let's see. Amarion Davis is going to come to Mizzou. He's on. I think he just got to Columbia. He's a 3-star out of South Carolina. He was at Boston College. He appeared in 11 games, made 13 tackles. That's kind of where you're seeing Mizzou hunt in the safety. I mean, 3 safeties at this point. Now we're going to learn more. Next week will be much more of a much crazier, you have to assume, for the transfer portal process. And then finally, Mizzou needs a punter, and they are talking to Tyler Ebel from South Dakota. He averaged 46 yards a punt last season. He should get a statue if he averages 46 yards a punt at Missouri. He's going to visit Vanderbilt, and then he's going to go from there. He's going to visit Vanderbilt, Missouri, and then maybe make a decision after that. You kind of have to. You need a portal. You need a punter. Like you need a punter. Why am I talking so weird? You need a punter in the worst way. The good news also in recruiting, Jacques Felix, 3-star defensive lineman. He committed to Iowa State, but Mizzou just gave him an offer. And then obviously with Matt Campbell leaving, he's coming to Missouri. Excuse me. An interesting name at the end. I neglected to mention him just because I haven't heard he hasn't offered a Mizzou. Like the guys I went through are Mizzou offers. They apparently are interested in Jaden Woods from Florida. Now, what I keep seeing is people saying that he's probably out of Mizzou's price range, and that may be the case. My thing with Jaden Woods is you have to look, if you're Mizzou, you have to spend somewhere. Look, keeping Alubade, Hardy, Roberts, Caden Green, Zollers, getting Austin Simmons probably cost you a pretty penny, but you have to compete at some of these levels at free agency, basically, which is what this is. And Jaden Woods could step in for Damon Wilson. He's kind of in that same role as Damon Wilson. Super talented, didn't play a whole heck of a lot, just kind of got overshadowed by some other guys. And he's from Kansas. But you have to spend somewhere. You have to spend somewhere. And maybe it was at Woodyard. Name, I know some people have talked about Mikey Keene. Entered the portal from Fresno. He's going to probably go somewhere G5 to be a starter. He was a pretty good quarterback at Florida State or at Fresno State. Marquise Davis to Louisville. That's a good signing for them. Yeah, we talked about Amarion Davis. I'm just kind of scrolling through my notes. Talked about Chase Hendricks. I like Chase Hendricks a lot. I just don't know why Mizzou hasn't brought him in on a visit. Like, I trust them. I would assume they know more than I do, obviously, but that just seems like a really obvious. Like, are they going after Parker Livingstone? Like, that'd be fun. Like, Mizzou does play Texas next year. You could have another Theo Weiss situation. Yeah, it's fun going through the boards, just trying to figure out names. When people are like, "Oh, what about this guy?" It's like, guys, I don't think that they're yeah, Jaden Woods is interested in Missouri. I think some people have reported it's going to be a highest bidder situation. So we'll find out. We're going to have a lot more next week. But if you're Mizzou, the good news is the biggest thing you needed this week was a quarterback. And you got your quarterback. You got Austin Simmons, probably. I'm like 95% sure that's happening. I'm about 90% sure week 1 next year, your starting quarterback will be Austin Simmons, which makes right tackle super important. Mizzou's going to need a right tackle because to protect his blind side, and we'll see what happens there for Mizzou. I just don't think they're going to be involved with Andrew Sprague, unfortunately. Has there ever been a lefty Mizzou quarterback? I'm trying to think. Yeah, not in a long time. I was curious. Not in a long time. That'd be crazy. Brian Humphrey. Like, there's a lot of guys. You're seeing a lot of guys re-signed, which is good. I wonder if they would, like Lance Hurd from Tennessee. Is he an option? Yeah, I actually I thought about that. They do have a lot of guards. Reichert's not really a center. I do wonder if Peagler can play center. I also think the staff really likes Tristan Wilson, and I thought Tristan Wilson, like it's one of those things where like, well, if he's so good, why didn't he play? Connor Tollison was pretty good. He had a really not great senior year, but Tristan Wilson at the end of 24, I thought played really well. And you're going to be playing some of those same teams again. I thought he played well in the bowl game. He was the highest rated player on the Mizzou offense, according to PFF. He wasn't the issue. It was more of the guards. I think he's going to be your starting center. I would be shocked if he's not your starting center. I think Reichert's going to get a spot at guard. I think he would have started this year. Green's obviously going to be a tackle. Can you get like a Jack Lang to be your other tackle? Can you get some of these other guys? Like, is there going to be anybody in the portal? I've talked about this a 1,000 times, and I don't get sick of talking about it because I know we have new audiences. I know new people watch. So I don't ever, especially when it's something like this important. Offensive line is going to be difficult in the portal, especially out of Missouri, where you're not going to be at the top of anybody's list. That's a real stud. Caden Green is a special situation. He wanted to come home, and guys like that will happen. And so will guys like Keegan Tross. Keegan Tross was really good for the Tigers last year. But it's going to be more difficult year in, year out to do that. That's why retention, development are super important on the offensive line. And they've lost a lot of guys that you would hope would be retention and develop guys. I think best case scenario next year for Mizzou is Jack Lang works out. Reichert is as good as they hoped. Tristan Wilson's a good center. Caden Green takes another step. And you really only need to fill one spot in the portal, whether it's through Poku, who's apparently not coming, so that's not really an option, or somebody that enters the portal over the coming days. We still do have about another week and a half to figure out who's going to enter the portal. But I don't know kind of what their plan is, because it's going to be difficult to get really good at the offensive line through the portal. Another name I thought Mizzou might be in on is Jace Brown from Kansas State. He had 115 catches and 2,100 yards as a Wildcat. He's the number 3 wide receiver in it, but he's apparently not going to visit Missouri. He's just going to visit Georgia, Ole Miss. Little disappointed. I'm sure the price tag there is crazy, but man, you need 2 guys. You need 2 guys, and as good as Austin Simmons is good, but man, like, it's good that Jaleel Florence is committed. It's really good. Another name I think I've also heard is Javon Boggs, who at one time was committed to Missouri. Javon Boggs, and then he kind of flipped. He was flipped out. He's a guy that flipped around a lot. It's not really a surprise. He's left Florida State. There's nothing planned there. I really like him. I know the Florida State people really, really liked him. I don't think he's like an NFL guy, but I think you could do a hell of a lot worse at slot receiver than Boggs going into next year. And I think he's a guy that can step in and play right away. It's one of those things where, yeah, you didn't get your number one guy, maybe, but maybe you don't get Hendricks. But if you get Boggs, I think you're at least you got to be pretty happy about that. Yeah, I talked about Deshaun Staley. Is there anything I missed in the portal? I think the big thing from this week is, we're going to have a quarterback. We're going to have Austin Simmons as your quarterback next year. He's big, tall. He has an elite arm strength. He's a prototypical quarterback. Now it's just going to be on Eli to develop him. He's the first quarterback Eli is going to have that has all the tools plus experience. He's not going to be a true freshman that missed his senior year of high school due to leg injuries. We'll see, man. I at first was a little like, I think I've talked myself more into it in recent weeks than I thought I would. But look, obviously, like once the season rolls around, I'm going to be like, all right, let's get it rolling. They need a safety. So, like I said, if you just go through the positions, they got the quarterback. They need a running back. They need a running back in terms of like running back's the last thing. Like it's the last thing you're like checking out and you see a candy bar, a Hershey's chocolate chip bar or a white chocolate chip bar at the counter, and you're like, all right, whatever. And you grab one of those. They need 2 to 3 wide receivers. I think 2. Again, if Fulks or Terry can't be your wide receivers 4 and 5 next year, you need to fire Jacob Peeler. We'll see where they go at receiver. The names that they've been talking to, I'm not a huge fan of. Jace Brown apparently was out of their price range, so was Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman was never coming here. Cam Coleman going to Texas Tech would be wild, by the way. Offensive line, really only talked to a couple guys. We'll see what happens over the next couple weeks. Hopefully, if in a perfect world, I think they only need 1 starter. So we'll see how that works out there. At D-line, they've talked to a bunch of edges, no real like stars. The names of the edges they've been talking to, if they don't want to go out and go get Jaden Woods, makes me think that Damon Wilson might be coming back, but it is taking a while. He's got plenty of time. He's got to get his draft grade, so I get it, but come on, man. Linebacker, there's been predictions that they're going to land Robert. They're going to land the kid from Auburn and Woodyard. That would be a really nice pickup for Mizzou. Jaden Jones, the Florida State DN, will be visiting on Wednesday. Obviously, if anything major happens, we'll go live that night. We'll go live. I just because I got sports I want to watch doesn't mean I can't go live. There's a lot of people that think the Woodyard thing is a done deal. Corner, they got a commitment from Jaleel Florence. A good start. Need probably 2 more. And then safety, they're talking to a bunch of guys, young and old, which is interesting. They're talking to the kid from Notre Dame, the freshman from Boston College, and they need a punter, and I think they've locked in on the kid from South Dakota. So it's a lot to do in one offseason, man. We talked about it last week. Eli has done a really good job in the defensively in the portal. He just has. Like, there's no debating it. When Mizzou, think of 2022, when Mizzou needed a lot defensively. Let me pull up that depth chart real quick. The issue is you had a group of guys that were already there. What year is this? That's the 2018 depth chart. I googled the 2022 depth chart, guys. Let me see. That's Auburn's depth chart. Why can I not get that depth chart? They just want fine. I'll just pull up the stats. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Statistics. But 2022 is the last time I can remember a big But Isaiah McGuire wasn't a transfer. DJ Coleman was a transfer. Martez Manuel wasn't a transfer. Darius Robinson wasn't a transfer. Obviously, Tyron Hopper was. Chad Bailey wasn't a transfer. Carlisle wasn't a transfer. Charleston wasn't a transfer. Christian Williams was. Christian Williams was a big piece of the defense for a couple of years, though. Rios George, no. Jeffcoat, no. Norwood, yes. Jaden Jernigan, yes. Josh Landry, yes. But the two corners, Rakestraw Drain, Carnell, they weren't. I forgot we had another Damon Wilson at that time. So you had a nucleus there, but Mizzou just does not have right now. So we'll see what happens in the portal. They have a lot to defend. I mean, basically, you need to bring in a whole new defense. I mean, what do they return? They return Rodriguez. They return Graciel and Marshall at D tackle. But you need to replace Chris McClellan. Hopefully, Damon Wilson comes back, but you need to replace the other DN. I like Darius Smith, but I think I like Darius Smith more as like a situational pass rusher type. Maybe not situational. That's probably putting him too much into a box, but like as in like a pass rusher type. You need kind of a Zion Young type guy here. Linebacker, it looks like they've got that locked up, though. They need a corner. So we'll see what happens. Again, we'll be live next week. Like I've said, the whole show, my headache is killing me. I need to eat. That's probably part of the reason I've had this headache since about 3 o'clock today. Interesting start to portal season. Not a perfect start. Like you're seeing teams like Indiana just start to – I mean, they got Nick Marsh. They obviously brought in Josh Hoover. Look, you can question, is Josh Hoover even that good? If Indiana wants some guys, he's probably pretty solid. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you guys for tuning in. This is Missouri Tigers Live. Of course, if anything big happens, like they signed Cam Coleman or something, I'll be live. You can follow me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. And Ole Miss or Miami over Ole Miss, Oregon over Indiana. And then we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about the national title. We'll talk about these games next week. This past weekend games, that was embarrassing by Alabama. I don't think Alabama's a bad team. Mizzou was going to play Alabama a lot over the coming years. They got to figure out where did the physicality go from that program? Oregon over Indy is nuts. It's hard to beat a good team twice. Yeah, as you just said 2 seconds later. And Oregon's a lot healthier, especially on offense. They need to figure out where, and this isn't a Kalen DeBoer thing. Like I did both Bama post game for years. The physicality has been gone since Najee Harris left in that run game, so they got to figure that out. Indiana, what a story, dude! If they win the Natty, they change the complexion of the sport, which is awesome. I love when things like that happen. Ohio State, Miami. What the hell was that, Ohio State? Like, yikes. But good for Miami. Texas Tech, Oregon. Oregon did what I think anyone who like Baron Morton was the weakness on that team. They're going to get Sorsby. He's 1-1, man. Didn't you guys blew him out? Who doesn't, dude? If you hate Kirk Cignetti, like unless you're like an Illinois fan or like a rival Indiana fan, like how do you hate him? The guy's at Indiana. It's like hating Gary Pinkel when he was at Mizzou. It's like how? Or any of these coaches. Like how do you hate greatness? What was I going to say? What were the other games? Ole Miss Georgia was like the game of the year. That was so fun. I'm a little nervous about that being like an Ole Miss Super Bowl, like an A+, like everything all-in effort, and then you just don't have anything for a big physical team like Miami that has outstanding offensive linemen, 2 great DNs, and a top 10 pick at DN and Ruben Maine, who wrecked that Ohio State offense. That poor backup guard for Ohio State was just getting abused. I felt so bad for him. I mean, the quarter's not as fun as I thought we were going to get. I thought Alabama, Indiana was going to be a fun game. I actually thought and Georgia Ole Miss was one of the games of the year, so that's good. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think you'll have Oregon versus Miami in the final in Miami in Sunrise in the Orange Bowl, which is not the Orange Bowl, but in whatever their stadium's called now. I can't. My head's going to explode. Can't think of it. But okay. With that being said, I hope you guys all enjoy your week. This is like the next week, man. There's not a lot of perfect sports weeks, but you got some good college basketball. Mizzou plays Wednesday night against Kentucky. I was at the basketball game Saturday. They're not fixed, but there's some reinvigoration watching this basketball team. You have the FCS National Championship going on right now. I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. I picked Montana State to win it. As soon as North Dakota State lost, I was like, okay, Montana State's probably gonna win this. Texas gets Raleek Brown. That's not surprising. Arizona State transfer. Arizona State's going to be an interesting team next year. Let me pull up the score I have it right in front of me. Just pulling up a bunch of scores. Yeah, Montana State up 2 scores. I should have mentioned that. But yeah, you have some great college basketball coming up this is the one night you have the FCS, and outside of that, man, you got some really fun college basketball like Duke, Louisville tomorrow night, Texas Tech, Houston, things like that. Obviously, you have the college football playoff Thursday, Friday. I'm trying to think, is there any good college? Oh, Alabama and Vanderbilt. Boom. Great game. You have the college football playoff on Thursday and Friday. The NFL playoffs start Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. It's just a great sports week. And then you cap it all off. You come watch me next Monday. Talk more about the transfer portal. So thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm going to hop off, take every Tylenol I have, hopefully not overdose, and I need to eat dinner. So thank you guys all for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. You can follow me on Twitter still at PsychoZ50. Just the banners. I just see Chad Morris because we have a bunch of channels here at the Voice of College Football. Subscribe to them. There's a lot of people that do a lot of great work. But Chad Morris is hired. What a way to go out, Dabo, rehiring Chad Morris. Anyway, you guys all have a great night, great weekend. Stay safe, and I will talk to you later. MIZ.